Jhon Jairo Velásquez, alias Popeye, was a Colombian hitman and top lieutenant for Pablo Escobar's Medellín Cartel. He confessed to personally killing over 300 people, orchestrating 3,000 more murders, detonating 250 car bombs, and aiding in the 1989 Avianca Flight 203 bombing that killed 110. Accused of kidnappings, extortion, and terrorist acts like the assassination of presidential candidate Luis Carlos Galán. He was a key enforcer of Escobar's reign of terror. This documentary examines his crimes through psychology and psychoanalysis, unraveling the mind of a killer who thrived on violence. Why zoom in on Popeye? His cold-blooded efficiency, chilling lack of remorse, and sheer scale of violence, 300 personal kills, 3,000 ordered, make him a psychological enigma, perfect for dissecting what turns a man into a monster. Imagine Medellín, 1989. A politician's rally erupts in gunfire. Luis Carlos Galán falls. Blood pooling as screams pierce the air for the Guardian. Picture a Bogota-bound plane exploding mid-flight. 110 lives erased in a cartel-ordered bombing for the Miami Herald. Popeye's hands pulled triggers, planted bombs, and even executed his own lover, Wendy Chavarriaga, with 2 shots to the head, per Wikipedia. His kidnappings of future presidents like Andres Pastrana and relentless slaughter of 540 police officers, per all that's interesting, reveal methodical savagery that begs a deep dive into his psyche. Let's step into the dark world of Jhon Jairo Velásquez, born April 15, 1962, in Yarmul, Colombia, 50 miles from Medellín. Raised in a poor family, he moved to Itagüí, a gritty Medellín suburb, at age 12, where crime was a way of life, for the New York Times. His father, a butcher, and mother, a homemaker, struggled to provide, pushing young Jhon toward banditry. He briefly joined the Colombian Navy, earning the nickname Popeye for his wide jaw and resemblance to the cartoon sailor, per Wikipedia. After a stint at the National Police Academy, he dropped out, drawn to the streets. By 18, he was a cartel driver for Escobar's lover, soon becoming his top sicario for the Telegraph. Married briefly, with a son, Mateo, in the U.S., his personal life was overshadowed by his loyalty to Escobar. Psychologically, Popeye likely had traits of psychopathy and narcissistic personality disorder, per forensic analyses like those in Springerlink's 2011 leadership trait analysis. Psychopathy explains his lack of empathy, seen in his casual admission to killing 300 for the Daily Beast. Narcissism drove his need for power and admiration, evident in his post-prison YouTube fame, boasting 1.2 million subscribers for the Miami Herald. Psychoanalytically, his antisocial personality thrived on control, with a grandiose sense of self, fueling his pride in being Escobar's most trusted hitman for the Telegraph. His childhood poverty and exposure to Medellín's violent underbelly likely fostered a learned helplessness that morphed into aggression, seeking validation through crime. What turns a kid into a cartel killer? Popeye's psychopathy meant he felt no guilt, viewing murder as just business. Per his 2016 New York Times interview, his choice of victims, politicians, police, rivals, even lovers, reflects a dehumanization process where targets were obstacles to Escobar's empire, per psychological studies on criminal behavior. His narcissism, craving Escobar's approval, pushing to execute high-profile hits like Galán's 1989 assassination to prove loyalty, per Wikipedia. Psychoanalytically, this is identification with the aggressor, adopting Escobar's ruthless mindset to cope with his own powerlessness from a poor upbringing. Why these victims? Politicians like Galán, who pushed extradition, threatened the cartel's survival, per Britannica. Police were collateral damage in Escobar's war, with Popeye claiming 540 kills. Per all that's interesting, his lover, Wendy, was killed on Escobar's orders after she became a liability, per Wikipedia, showing Popeye's blind obedience. His methods, gunshots, car bombs, kidnappings, were theatrical, designed to terrorize, per The Guardian. The 1989 Avianca bombing, meant to kill Cesar Gaviria, was a calculated act of narcoterrorism, per the Miami Herald, reflecting a sadistic streak that enjoyed instilling fear, per forensic psychology texts. Medellín, August 18, 1989. A rally for Luis Carlos Galán turns into a bloodbath. Popeye Sicarios open fire. Galán collapses, his chest riddled with bullets, per The Guardian. I planned it. Popeye bragged in a 2014 Telegraph interview. His voice cold. November 27, 1989, Avianca Flight 203 explodes over Bogota, 110 bodies torn apart. Debris raining on villages below. For the Miami Herald. We wanted Gaviria dead. Popeye admitted to the New York Times. In a Medellín cafe, Wendy Chavarriaga answers a call from Popeye. Unaware two sicarios are waiting. 2 shots to her temples, blood pooling on the floor, per Wikipedia. I drove by to check. Popeye told Boca's magazine, his tone chillingly detached. In 1988, Popeye kidnaps Andres Pastrana, future president, hold him for a week in a cartel safe house, for the Daily Beast. Police stations burn, 540 officers gunned down, per All That's Interesting. A Bogota mother told El Tiempo, my son was a cop. They shot him in the street, left him to bleed out. Popeye's 250 car bombs, for the Telegraph, ripped through cities, leaving mangled bodies and shattered families. His 1992 murder of Fernando Galeano, a former idol, inside La Catedral prison, strangled and shot for suspected theft, shows his betrayal of even allies, for the SicariaEffect.com. This was no impulsive thug. Popeye was a machine of death, thriving on chaos. Popeye's psyche was a furnace of violence and loyalty. His psychopathy, per Springerlink, stripped him of remorse, seen in his YouTube boasts about kills, for the Miami Herald. Narcissism made him crave Escobar's praise, calling him my friend who never owed me for hits, for the New York Times. His childhood in Itagüí slums, surrounded by crime, likely triggered a trauma bond with Escobar, per Psychoanalytic Theory, where he saw the cartel as family. His brief military stints, per Wikipedia, gave him discipline but no moral compass, amplifying his antisocial traits. Psychoanalytically, his splitting cast victims as enemies, justifying their deaths as cartel duty. His relationship with Wendy, ended by her execution, shows a compartmentalization of emotions, separating love from betrayal, per forensic psychology. His alliance with Sicario Chief Penina, who recruited him, for the SicariaEffect.com, fed his need for belonging in a violent subculture. Post-prison, his YouTube channel, Popeye Arrepenado, with 1.2 million subscribers, for the Miami Herald, reflects a narcissistic need for attention, masking remorse as rehabilitation. His 2016 video firing a 9mm in Medellín streets, per Wikipedia, shows a lingering thrill for violence, contradicting his repentant claims, per NPR. Popeye surrendered in October 1992 as the Medellín Cartel crumbled, per the Daily Beast. Convicted for Galán's murder, he served 22 years of a 30-year sentence, released in 2014 for good behavior, per The Guardian. His confessions helped convict cartel allies like Alberto Santofimio, per The Telegraph. In 2018, he was rearrested for extortion, blackmailing Escobar's former associates, per the Miami Herald. Diagnosed with terminal esophageal cancer in 2019, he died February 6, 2020, in Bogota, age 57, per the New York Times. The ICC never pursued him, but his 3,000 kill claim, unverified, haunts Colombia, per Amnesty International. Popeye died free, his cancer a quieter end than the bullets he feared, per the Telegraph. Existentialists like Sartre would argue his choices, killing for loyalty, seeking fame post-prison, defined as evil, a man who embraced violence to exist. Determinists would see a psyche shaped by poverty, cartel culture, and Escobar's shadow, trapping him in a cycle of destruction. His YouTube remorse, for the Miami Herald, felt performative, a narcissistic bid for relevance, not redemption. Was he a monster by choice or a product of Medellín's chaos? His legacy raises a question. Can a killer ever escape their own darkness? Colombia bears Popeye scars. Families of his 300 victims, like Gonzalo Rojas, whose father died in the Avianca bombing, told The Guardian, his fame is an insult. Medellín streets, once blood-soaked, now grapple with narcotourism, for the New York Times. Popeye's story is a warning. When psychopathy meets power, humanity pays. It leaves us shaken, hearts pounding, wondering how one man's loyalty turned a nation into a graveyard.